like here's my lead channel, it's something like this. There's a show off you. But sometimes, so I'll use that as my lead tone, but sometimes, you know, sound men a lot of times are dicks and they don't know about guitar tones, so I don't like to go through the PA very much. So, so then here, if I have this, that's one that's just a lot louder, so that if I need that extra volume, I go to that channel. What's up, guys? Welcome back to my YouTube channel. So today what I'm going to do is just talk about my pedal board. This is my current pedal board I use for recording, and this is the pedal board I use for when I play in my Metallica tribute band, Dyer's Eve, and Blizzard of Oz, and Kevin and Buck Band, which are my main things I'm playing out in right now. And also it's good for me to look back at this to see what I'm doing. So essentially I just got a pedal train board here, frame, and then I put all my pedals on here. Underneath it, I have 3 different Voodoo Labs power station things, so I could power all my pedals with them. So I have a pedal, what do you call it, an ISO and a pedal power plus. I have 3 of those Voodoo Labs to give each pedal its own power. All of these cables here, I made all of these cables myself. I soldered them over in my little soldering area I have there. Sorry, things are kind of a mess. So I went to Besttronics over in Tinley Park, and I got a bunch of cables. I use Mogami, the little cables, and then I solder them, and I got all the parts from that place. So each pedal has individual power, and I made each cable myself so that they are able to be the length that I want. When I record, I go into this this direct box right here, and then I can run a direct signal into Pro Tools, and it also has a ground lift, and so I go through that into the board. My amps, I'm using, if you look over there, generally I'm using 2 Ampeg VL1002s, the Lee Jackson designed Ampeg 1002s or whatever, VL 1002s. That's been my main amp since 1991. I use 2 of those, and what I do is I run 1 preamp and 2 power amps. So what I did here is in the back, I drilled holes for 4 Neutrik connectors, and I actually color coordinated them and put letters on there so I could have roadies set it up without messing it up. And I also have another Neutrik connector here on the side. So this one right here, that's just going to the return of another one of the heads, so that all of my effects, well, my chorus and my delay, can be stereo and ping pong if I need them to be. Right? So I'm coming out of, well, let's go through the pedals. We've got, right now I use different wahs from Morley. Love the Morley wahs. I mean, because I have an endorsement, but. So here's like a ping pong. I don't know if you'll be able to hear that. Ping pong setting is what I have on here. So here, let me turn it off. So this is works as a volume. Or when I click it on, it's a wah, right? So it works as both of those things. There is a wireless. I'm not a fan of EMFs. I actually sat here and tried a VHF one, a very high frequency, a UHF, ultra high frequency one I have from the 90s and 2000s. Then I tried the 2.4 gigahertz. I tried them all just to see if there's any sort of variance and stuff like that in them. And here I have the original Whammy one. I have a couple of these. These are my favorite ones. They have the greatest tone to me. I have the newer ones, and basically I'm running everything through a Boss ES8. So this enables me to choose any amount of pedals in any order, and that's just incredible. So each patch, I just create different patches for whatever I want to use, and that's like the new technology of that is just mind blowing to me, that I could have analog pedals and run them in any order. Another thing that's really important is to be able to just get a direct signal with a buffer right into my amp, as opposed to always going through the pedals, right? So continuing on though, I use some of the newer whammy pedals, and they're cool because I could have the MIDI switch to make them go to the different to the different types of settings on this pedal. But generally what I'll use for this pedal is a couple octave settings. Or a lot of times I may have to then, during a show, move this over, and then I use the octave down. Which is pretty cool sound, so a lot of times I have to use that. So I'm going into the direct box, into my volume wah, into the whammy, and then into the ES8. Sorry, it's a little bit dirty here, some cobwebs and stuff. And then from the ES8, I am able to control all of these pedals, whether I want them to be in the effects loop or whether I want them to be in the front. So I'll go through each one of my pedals. I'm using a Polytune tuner, which I could have on and off. I'm using this compressor. At first I wasn't sure if I want this or not, but I feel like I really need it for my clean tone. It really helps out when I'm playing loud. This is an old DD2. For some reason, the old DD2s sound a lot better than the DD3s and on to me. This one's modded by my friend Pete from St. Louis, and I send my pedals, since I buy a lot of old pedals, I send them off to him when they get broken. This is an Alchemy Audio modded noise suppressor, which I'm doing an X connection, so I'm able to noise gate. Basically, I'm able to gate the noise from in front of the amp with those pedals, and also the ones in the effects loop. It's kind of a tricky connection, the X connection. Maybe I'll tell you about that if you want. Classic Phase 90 here by some company, I don't know what the hell they're called. And old flanger. Basically, I don't need a lot of this stuff, but the flanger I use for, Bark at the Moon and a couple other little things. This chorus is great because I've got it going stereo chorus, where it's going to to the two different amps. This is an EQ. I use an EQ to boost my signal for leads. I like this because it enables, rather than just having a low, high, and mid, I'm able to dial in the specific frequencies that I might want. This is actually, this is always an extra pedal space. So a lot of times I'd use the envelope filter for when I'm playing live. Like Jordan by Buckethead live, and I would need the envelope filter for some parts. Some really hard part at the end of it. But I only use it for that one song, so a lot of times I keep throwing in different pedals. I put in this is a modded SD1 Super Overdrive by Boss. A lot of people would put this in their Marshalls to get a little boost in the 80s. But for some reason, so this is my lead tone, basically is a distortion with a EQ and a delay. But now I can click on my switcher, and instead of maybe using the EQ pedal, I'll use this overdrive, and what do I play? I don't know. So I'm starting to enjoy the sound of this overdrive as more than this. I don't know if this is just doing a high pass filter or something like that, where it's cutting out the lows, but it sounds really, really tasty to me. So I may just take out the EQ and just use that. And then this loop station, I don't use it for looping. I use it for samples for the intros of my bands. I load up all the backing tracks and or samples, and then I'm able to use that to play along with it, right? And so this is the DD500. So basically this delay, I have, I don't know if you see it in the video, but each patch that I have changes the delay settings that I have. And then I can turn on one delay, or another delay, or two delays. So those are running in stereo. So that's one of the things. So I have different patches. Here's just clean with chorus. And then here's clean. Just need clean. And then I have a patch with rhythm. And then here's my lead, which is basically that rhythm with a boost from the EQ and delay. Then in case the sound man's a dick, I make it a little louder. I don't show the sound man that for sound check. And then if it's really, this one's just without the delay. This is a patch I use, which is a ping pong delay, I believe. Yeah, so see, I don't know if you're going to hear this in video. Maybe I'll try and make it where you will. Left and right. So if I'm doing... I'll try something here. So that's something I use for ping pong delay. And then this is just... So I have different patches, and then I could actually go to another bank, and I have a whole other bank of 8 different... So I'm able to switch. I have all these different banks. You could have 99 banks, all with 9, I think 9 different, or is it 8 different channels in it. So I can do it for different songs if I want, but generally I just have 3 banks of 8 different presets so that I could create different effects, and they're all analog effects. So that's what I'm doing there. Let's see, what else is here? That's mostly what I'm doing. I use it for recording with that DI, but then when I play live, I may use the wireless, or I just plug in there. And this is my current setup. Now I have other. I have other boards all around that I use. Here's one that's more simplistic. I don't know if I can. Oh, here, I'll just point this camera at it. Here's one that's more simplistic that I just put a piece of wood on, and then I use batteries. I use batteries for that one because a lot of times the power in these clubs in Chicagoland is just terrible. Broad stop tailgaters. I'm looking at you guys, but sometimes I don't want to go through the electricity, so sometimes things can get messed up. So that's a really simplistic board I have. It reminds me of like Jake Ely and Zach, and a lot of these guys just use batteries for their pedal board. So then it like defeats the purpose of all this genius work that I've done in this board. So let me see if there's anything else. And as far as the order of which pedal goes where, again, I change that up for the various presets that I have in my ES8s. I think what's really great about it is, say I have a rhythm. Maybe I then add a tiny little delay. And it almost sounds like I'm in a huge room there. I use that for stuff like, I don't know, songs like Flying High Again and Eddie Van Halen and stuff. Sometimes you notice a little tiny bit of analog delay in there, right? And then I also have another delay like here. But what's cool about that is I can use the tap tempo feature. And then... So then I can make it in time with the song. But it doesn't sound as good as the old analog DD2. So I have to keep that one in the board, even though there's 2 delays. So sometimes I could get greedy and have like my regular delay, and then maybe I'll add in another delay. And then maybe 3 delays? I don't know. And so I'm able to do that, and I'm able to control the tempo on those, and that's what's really great. And the other thing that's really great about the DD 500 is I use this actually as my you know what I mean? So I could loop with that if I need to. Let's see, is there anything else that we need to talk about besides my dog walking around up there? That's generally it. So what was cool was drilling in holes underneath this so that when I plug in to the effects loop and into the input and for my foot switch for my amps, I'm not plugging into any of these pedals. I'm just plugging into the back here, and they're Neutrik connectors, so where they get locked, so the cord won't be able to come out of it as well. And I'm able to use this as that stereo rig like I was talking about, or I just don't plug in this other one here, and then it works as just 1 amp all the way through. Yes, it is very complex, and it took me many years and hours to figure it out. So I thought I would make a quick video to tell, I don't know, the 2 girls and maybe 1,000 subscribers what I'm doing. And yes, this is an old Metallica shirt from my first concert in 1991 or whatever. So I don't know if there's anything like the analog delay, I mean not the analog delay, the very first digital delay from way back. To me, it just, the DD2 sounded better. And I was always going back and forth, but I'm kind of weird and neurotic about my tones, so I do think the first whammy sounds a lot better than the modern whammy pedals. And the DD500 is great, but it's almost too good to where it doesn't really remind me of the classic old sounds that I'm going for. And as far as these little cables go, I don't think there's any way you could really get all your pedals around here properly by buying cables. If you're gonna go and buy these kind of things, there's just no way to make it really neat and efficient. Again, if I was playing blues, and sometimes when I record, I just want to plug into an amp. I don't want to deal with all this stuff. But for me, this has been a really interesting situation. Of course, always got to make sure the settings are right. So again, I use clean with chorus and reverb as my main kind of thing that I use for a lot of my songs. Then just pure clean. Rhythm's just, and this is the noise gate is going to be on the rhythm to make sure I'm able to change it to be just perfect. If I turn this off, I get that, and you always get that, so you need to make sure that noise gate or noise suppressor, whatever you use, is in the effects loop, so it'll kill the distortion from the amp if you're using amps distortion. My lead tone is an EQ in the loop with a delay in the loop as well. That does have the noise gate on it. And those are my main channels that I'm going to use here. I don't know. And then another way I have the Boss ES8 set up is if I'm on my rhythm channel, if I go to the next bank on the same number 3, now I added rhythm with the chorus. So I kind of did that where if I press the bank button up or down, I might add an effect to my basic clean or my basic lead or my basic distortion. But the ES8 is great too, because if you go to press this one button over here, I can use each pedal individually. So I could just make each one of these just whatever the pedal is. So if I wanted to add, say I wanted to add in the phaser with that, then I could just press in individual pedals. So of each channel that I've made, I can add any effect in and out of it. This was really, the ES8 was really hard for me to get this thing to work with my Mason Boogie, but I was able to do it if you need to know how. It was super difficult, man, Jesus. And also I use this as, I have a stereo foot switch to turn my reverb on and off, and that's just a control change. So I don't have to use an actual foot switch for my amp. I'm able to turn my distortion going from channel 1 to channel 2 in my Ampeg amps from this switcher. So that's quite a lot of stuff right there. I'm sure I'm missing a bunch here. This is a little sheet that tells me what number the intros are. So some of the songs live may have like Mr. Crowley when an Ozzy band has an intro to it. And I also, just like right here, if I want, I have there's like a huge old EQ that I could plug in straight into, and there's my I'm using that interface right now. And there's my microphone that I'm using. Can't really show it to you very well in that. Thanks for the support. Let me know if you have any questions on this setup. It's pretty complex. And yeah, it's weird. These pedals are scary because, you know, if I move certain pedals, noise might work, you know, come in where I don't want it, or, you know, just where the board should be. All kinds of little subtle things, like here, like where I sit, everything like that makes a big difference in getting everything to work well. But yeah, I wanted to make this video just to well, demonstrate what I'm doing live, what I'm doing in the studio.